Time for us to take a look at some of our Thursday morning headlines, some of the things that you may have missed if all you were watching was the mainstream media. First of all, the German police detained a suspect in the Berlin Christmas market attack. Turns out that this fellow was a Pakistani that they thought was involved in the attack. After about 24 hours in custody, they realized they didn't have any evidence against him, and they released him. And now they've named a different suspect, a Tunisian, 23 years old, who they say is armed and dangerous. And they've put out an APB all across Europe and looking for this fellow. Did you know that the seed vault that's in Norway, this on the archipelago up there, this Svalbard, it has seeds and germ basically from all kinds of, basically every time they get any kind of seed, any variation, they put a copy of that seed there so that they can save it for the future. There are some certain myths about it. It's not technically a doomsday seed vault. If you want to read about it, there's a lengthy article in the Washington Post about that, dispelling some of the seed vault myths. Did you know that in Sahara, the Saharan desert, that snow has fallen for the first time in 37 years? Yeah, it last happened in 1979. The media across the Middle East has now been reporting that Jaish al-Fatah, this new extremist coalition, is claiming responsibility for the murder of the Russian ambassador. This even as a number of fingers are pointing, including the Turks and the Russians and others, saying the Americans were behind it. Now this other group has come forward and said, no, we did it. Well, I don't know. The guy who did it is dead, allegedly. The Kremlin is cracking down on bath lotion poisoning. Putin has ordered this crackdown as the death toll has risen. I don't know if it's like bath salts in the United States, but people, I guess, trying to get high using a non-legal form of, well, basically a very lethal form of something you can get over the counter. But anyway, yeah, if you're going to poison yourself, I guess they prefer you use alcohol. Also, there is a bit of surprise in Russia at the hysteria, the media hype around the red phone, that little link between the Soviets, remember the Soviets and the U.S., that whole thing going back to the 1960s, popularized by a red phone. Well, Obama said something about using the red phone for the first time back in October of this year to talk to the Kremlin about the hacking. And they're like, yeah, we've been using that like for all of our communications. Also, Moscow is now going to officially demand an apology from the New York Daily News because of an article that they posted that basically justified the murder of the ambassador going all the way back to 1938 when a Nazi ambassador was assassinated. And, well, a number of different ways to look at it. If the media is not allowed to say what you don't want them to say, then, well, what's the point of having a media? Aleppo, the evacuations have resumed, which again, this is something that many people, especially humanitarian groups, have been asking for, pushing for. It started and then had to stop because somebody bombed the buses that they were using. And now that's resumed. The British Biathlon Union is going to be boycotting the 2017 World Cup event because it's being held in Russia, and apparently there's some kind of link to Russian athletes and doping. There was a fireworks blast in Mexico City. Don't know if you heard about it. 32 people dead. Their bodies so badly burned they can't even tell the sex or the age. Also, there's an article in Pravda talking about how 2016 was the year that the U.S. empire started falling apart, citing not only the election of Trump, but also the exploitation of Obama's weakness, that's their words, and the hacking incident, among others. Lastly, YouTube star Adam Saleh, you may have heard about this fellow, got kicked off a Delta Airlines flight because he talked in Arabic to his mother, and another passenger became uncomfortable with that. Got him kicked off the flight. We're going to be talking about that in our commentary today. And we've also got some Alaska news for you to check out. If you like what I'm doing, please consider becoming a sponsor, either through a direct, well, you can actually pay for a subscription, or you can become one of my patrons on Patreon. It's up to you, whatever level of involvement you'd like to have. I'm at your service. You got a topic for me, you got a news tip, email me, steve@radiofreespeech.com. Tell all your friends, and hit me up on Facebook, radiofreespeech.com.